You read the Zonda report or anything from even John Burns, everyone's predicting a pretty robust, if you want to call it, we're in a recession, I don't know, but a
Mhm.
recovery. Um, the remodeling market is like a beach ball being held underwater right now, and it's going to pop through. So we're super optimistic. We've continued to spend on marketing aggressively to ensure we're in a good position when things quote recover. We're really bullish about what the future looks like. We think that this is a great space to be in, and we plan, as I said earlier, we feel like we're just getting started.
Incredible. You're listening to the Remodeler Digital Playbook, a show created to inspire remodeling contractors to achieve success in their remodeling business. I am your host, Rathna Ramakrishnan. I'm also the founder of Remodeler Digital, the digital marketing agency for remodeling contractors. In each episode, I'll be chatting with remodeling contractors and top experts discussing their proven methods for revenue generation, the insights they've gained, and the keys to remodeling success. And I'll be sharing my knowledge of how I created a 7-figure business using digital marketing. Playbook Podcast. I'm super excited to speak to our special guest today, Michael Hoy, the CEO of Great Day Improvements. Michael, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I've been excited to do this with
Thank
you.
you so much. So, just a short introduction. Michael has such an amazing background, and we're going to hear his story. But he has a passion for home improvement with a commitment to quality. And Michael has led his team in transforming homes across the country. Great Day Home Improvements is listed as number 5 in the top remodelers in the country, completing over 70,000 projects annually with over $1 billion in revenue. Today, he'll be sharing his inspiring journey. And what I find most intriguing is how they have maintained the entrepreneurial culture throughout the company and reaching its success today. Where are you at? 292 locations in 2024?
We're 288. We might be at 290 by the end of the year, though. So we're pretty close to that number.
Congratulations. It's just mind
Thank
boggling
you.
to think about these numbers. So let's start at the very beginning. What got you interested in home improvement? And how did you become the CEO? Because I have a 14-year-old, and every time I ask him, what do you want to be in life? He says, I'm going to be a CEO. So were you one of those kids that was driven to be a CEO, and were you always interested in home improvement?
I was never driven to be a CEO. That was not my objective in life. I grew up in Baltimore. I still live in the Baltimore area today. My parents were entrepreneurs, both small business owners. My father was an auto repair mechanic and owned gas stations. My mother owned video rental stores. And I worked in my father's shop really from the time I was probably 5 or 6 till I was an early teenager. And what I realized during that is I did not like the smell of oil. I didn't like just being dirty all the time. And I started to recognize at a pretty young age that technology was changing that world. The old school mechanics were not what they used to be. So I had plans to go to college. I actually had a wrestling scholarship to Iowa. Unfortunately, I didn't end up going. I got in a pretty bad car accident just prior to leaving and had been working in a lumberyard part time. And to this day, a lumberyard is still my favorite smell in the world. So if I walk into a Home Depot or Lowe's, that's usually where I go first because I love that smell. So that was how I got into the home improvement and really building space, supplying contractors and homeowners with materials, and just kind of fell in love with the whole sales and marketing part of it over the years. Uh, and then eventually got into direct to consumer back in the late 90s and early 2000s with the Pella Corporation and eventually with Renewal by Andersen, and have fallen in love over and over again with direct to consumer home improvement and the ability to really help people realize these dreams they have for their home. They don't always know where to go, and to build trust with them and to find ways to really build a nationally scaled platform, which is what Great Day has become. That was not our original plan. So it's kind of evolved over time, and as we've seen opportunity, we kind of started to wonder why couldn't it be us that did it first? And that's we took that challenge on, and here we are today.
Wow, fascinating. So, did you land up going to university eventually,
Did
or
not. No, I did not. I stayed in and became a student of life.
amazing?
That's the University of Life. So I learned from a lot of really, really great people. There's still mentors of mine today that I stay in touch with that taught me along the way, and I just happened to be at the right place at the right
What a
time.
fantastic story. Just building one brand ground up is hard enough, where the usual advice in the market is to like niche down. So you're able to find that ideal client, you're able to serve them. And then you look at a brand like yours where you go and you acquire a roofing company and a gutter and all sorts of different home improvement services. How do you create a vision and a brand identity where I'm sure all of those unique brands are able to keep their unique identities that they're coming into the play with. But as a, giant umbrella of these brands, and you as a CEO and visionary, how do you maintain consistency? Or every homeowner, remodeling is such a personal business. You're in people's homes for weeks. How do you make sure that all of your brands are represented with your values and principles that you guys live by?
It sounds like it's a really overwhelming task, and at times it can feel a little like that, but I don't think it's as complex as people think it
Mm.
is. So when we began to grow outside of the patio enclosures business, we did that primarily because we wanted to diversify the products that we were selling. And we recognized that if we could create an experience for customers with one brand and they had a really great experience, that introducing another service to them, one, would be natural for us to do. We would have earned the right to do it. And two, if they trusted us and really loved what we have done, if they needed gutters or bath or whatever it may be, we're probably going to be the first person that they call because they trusted us the first time, and we earned the trust throughout that process. So I don't know of any home improvement company in the country that doesn't want to provide the customer with a great experience. So thankfully, we all have that in
Right.
common. How we get there is not always the same. So as we've evaluated businesses to partner with, we truly believe that the entrepreneurs should be leading these organizations. It doesn't mean that there's not places for private equity, institutional investors, or others to be in the space. We just believe that people that have done the job, that understand the cultures of these organizations and understand what people want, not just the customer, but the employees, that you can create some commonality. We all tend to have the same problems. We all tend to have the same challenges, and we also all have the same opportunities. So, your podcast is the Digital Playbook. We have a playbook, and that playbook is not much different from everyone else's.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is we think we execute it better.
Right.
So when we bring everybody together, our vision for the future is not much different than theirs in terms of how do we take care of our customer? How do we take care of our employees? What may be different is how it's executed. And what we do is we work really hard to build trust with other like-minded entrepreneurs that really care about their people, care about their customer. And if we do that and we build trust with those folks, to us, it's 1 and 1 equals 3. So we call it great together.
Right.
And it's not hard to get people on the same overall vision of where we're going. There's a lot of pride that comes with someone that worked at
Of
Champion
course.
for 30 years. And they've been around for 70 years. So why would we want to rid ourselves of all that brand equity? And that's, how we've approached it. That's not necessarily how everybody else approaches it, but we believe that these brands are really strong as individual organizations, but they're part of something larger now.
Nice.
And getting everybody on the idea that Great Day is a platform, and we're trying to create the most referable home improvement company that ever existed on a national
Mm-hmm.
scale, so we can share opportunity across customers and say, we did a great job on your sunroom. We'd love an opportunity to do your gutters, your bath, your windows. So that has been the vision of the organization. We still feel like we're just getting started. There's still a lot of opportunity out there, and we've got a lot of room for improvement. The thing I would say is that I tend to get a lot of credit because I'm the CEO. My partner, Ed Weinfertner, who's our executive chairman, he really led the acquisition of patio enclosures back in 2014. He's been a big part of this vision as well. Our executive team has been a big part of this vision, but ultimately it's an execution play more than it is a vision play. It's the people every day in our customers' homes that are really the ones that are making all this happen, and the people in our call center. So I tend to get a lot of credit, probably undeserved, but it's really just the people making all this happen.
Right. So you don't disrupt the brand. Then when you acquire the brand, you keep the people, you keep their philosophies, their principles, and then you integrate them into the larger umbrella of brands, and then you let them do what they're really good at.
Yeah, there are certain things that we do pretty early on. We do have certain financial reporting requirements that need to be consistent. So we work with the brand to, we call it harmonize their data, to make sure that we're all working off of the same nomenclature and terminology, that our accounting standards are the same, our financial reporting standards are the same. But we don't do that in a way where we're, invading their offices and sitting at their desks and telling them how to do business. We're really taking the time to seek to understand what they do, how they do it, and why they do it that way, to determine maybe they have a better practice than we do, and maybe we should be looking to change to their method. But if not, we're going to come to a way of doing things, and then we work with them over a period of time to conform to whatever that process or practice is based on their business process, their practice, their systems, their talent. We don't try to force it, but there are certain things we try to do early on because we think better together is a thing, right? We do have the advantage of taking advantage of our scale and our size.
How do you determine which contributor or new company to add to your brand umbrella? Do you, you want to own the entire home improvement space and go from bathroom remodeling to kitchen remodeling to exteriors to siding, windows, roofs? Or are there like certain parameters that you look for in a brand when you're looking at acquisition metrics?
So I would say that the criteria has changed a bit over the last 3 or 4 years as we've gotten to the size that we are. There's still a lot of geography that we don't cover. So while we're in 48 states today, the continental U.S., we're not in every part of those states, and in some cases, we may not want to be. So the question is, of the 288 locations, approximately half of those we've opened as greenfield locations or extensions off of another market. They're not all acquisitions, so it's about 50-50. There's opportunity for us to gain growth just by opening new locations of the brands we have in territories where we're underrepresented. And then we're constantly looking at the other products and services in the home improvement space, home services space that customers are asking us for. So while we're in the home, we'll hear the other things they're talking about doing. As you know, back in June, we added Leaf Guard, the number 2 player in that space. We also added Engler, which is the manufacturing arm of that business. We love the manufacturing and the vertical integration. That gives us an opportunity to get more into roofing, which we haven't been as much into. So there's not really a category that we are necessarily shying away from, but we do have windows, sunroom, roofing, siding, gutter. So a lot of the outside of the home, as you can tell, we've spent focus on. And now that we're inside of the bath side, we've got 45 locations now that do bath. And 1-day to 3-day bath remodel, depending upon what the consumer is asking for. So we're very open to other services and products, but we certainly are also really committed to what we're doing today, as we'd like to run more of that through our own manufacturing facilities.
Right. So are you building lifelong customers? Do you think you have the magic sauce and that a homeowner comes in, they build a, they do a siding, they do a bathroom remodel? Are you successful in moving that homeowner through all of your different brands, or do you have a strategy?
I love how you put that. So we say internally in our walls, we're trying to create a customer for life. Mm-hmm. And the only way to do that is to have a great experience with us from the very get-go, so that we've earned the right to introduce our other products, services, and brands that may be representative in the markets that these people live in. We're finding ways to brand Great Day more nationally. That's certainly a big focus for us. with the idea of also introducing brands the consumer may not be accustomed to, which is more the consumer facing part of our business. So the goal is, yes, to have a company that creates a customer for life. And the only way to do that is to become the most referable home improvement company in the country. So ultimately, that's our goal. And to do that, you have to create a great experience for your customers, for your shareholders, for your employees, and everybody's got to win.
Amazing. So let's pretend I'm a homeowner that has a couple of pain points that I'm trying to solve for myself in my home, and I reach out to your call center. Walk me through the experience of what I would go through as a lead to get to the estimate and then have my project launched. What do that pathway look like?
Yeah. So today, all of our brands, and there's 12 total, have unique call centers that are unique to their brand. So if you're going to call one of our call centers, certainly someone's going to try to answer that phone immediately. We're, no different if it's you calling or someone that's passing a lead along to us. And we're going to really focus on what does the customer want to have done and where are they located? Are we in a place that we can service them properly? Do they actually have a project that is something that we really do? Some people will call in and say, I want my windows fixed. They actually want them replaced. And other people say they want the window replaced and they just mean the glass. So we do want to make sure that we're providing the service that they want. And then we're going to find a time that is as quick as possible for us to get out to their home that's convenient for them and every other decision maker that's involved. No, not every decision maker is always there. So we're really focused on trying to create a great experience at the point of setting the confirmed appointment in their home. And then we're going to try to get out there as early as today if they'll take us. So we want to get out there while they're thinking about the project they're doing.
And then you generate the estimate and order the materials in, and the project gets started.
We're going to provide financing that day. We're going to likely sign a contract that day, and we're going to be scheduling the measure or whatever's the next step that day. We'll be explaining what is next. We have a what's next brochure in every home within every brand as to what to expect from us. And we're going to do everything we can to communicate with that customer along the way to get their job fulfilled. Every brand has a little different lead time, right? So Leaf Guard, you could sign a contract today. We could be out there as early as tomorrow to do the install. With custom windows and doors, it's probably going to be closer to 3 or 4 weeks. With a sunroom, there's more permitting, more engineering. Could be just a couple of weeks, but could also be a couple of months, depending upon the circumstances. So we're going to focus project by project on what we're capable of and make sure we explain that to the customer during the selling process and the estimating process to ensure they understand what to expect from us.
Cool. So the sales advisors, or I don't know what you call them, the actual people that go into the homes to generate the estimates and meet the homeowner and understand the project, are they using any specific software to show and tell or enhance the selling process, like when they are in the customer's home or the potential customer's home?
Yeah. So as you can imagine, when you acquire as many businesses as we have, there's lots of different systems. While there's been some commonality amongst them, we haven't gotten down to one CRM yet or one way, but we're getting closer to that. And that is an objective for us, is to have a great day way of presenting in the home by product and by brand, but is consistent with the Great Day standards and how Great Day operates. We call it the Great Day way. So every one of the brands is using some sort of technology in the home to present not only who we are and what they provide, but also to provide a quote that's good to the dollar that day, allow the customer to get financing, allow them to contract that day, and allow us to get started pretty much immediately. So while they're not all the same, there is a lot of commonality between them, and we're working very hard to get to some consistency there across all the brands.
Nice. When you look at your tech stack, is there a certain set of tools that you use to show off like the project timeline to the homeowner so they can see some photos? When the materials are arriving, are there favorite tools that you have? Perhaps like top 3. I'm sure to run the scale of an organization, you must have so many tools that you're digging into, but are there a few that you'd be open to sharing about?
I think we probably have more tools today than we would want to have, just given the number of acquisitions we've brought together. The one thing we are, though, really proud of is we're building a tool that will be common across the brands in terms of how we present ourselves in the home and how the expectations are explained to the customer. If you've ever ordered a pizza from Domino's, they have the pizza
Yeah, yeah.
tracker. And I mean, we want to replicate that type of experience for the customer, but we don't want to do it with a tool that all other contractors are
Mm,
using. We think the in-home experience should be really unique to us, or anything that the customer sees from us should be unique to us. Whereas some of the items that are on the backside the customer never sees, such as the scheduling tools, the things that they feel but they don't actually visualize, those can be more common, off the
yeah.
shelf, industry specific. But anything that's customer facing, we really think should be unique to Great Day if we're going to create a unique experience.
Amazing. So you basically have a software development team that's building your own platform then that's going to standardize your
Yes,
operations. How
correct.
exciting. When do you anticipate it to, I'm sure, software is always a progress. So do you anticipate it to have like a formal launch, initial 1.0 version coming up soon or?
We have a launch for a few of our brands that has it's in test mode. So we've already begun there, and we are in the process of consolidating 5 of our brands down to some common platforms right now that we expect to have done by the end of Q1. So there's a lot of activity on the technology side that we're focused on right now, and it's a high priority to have a tech stack of the future.
Incredible, amazing, exciting, right? Technology is the future. So do you use,
It's very exciting.
yes, do you use AI or, virtual reality, any of those methodologies to,
We
yeah.
do. We actually developed our own specifically for the sunroom business to give that customer a visual of this is what your addition, your room, your space, your enclosure is going to look like from your backyard, from your
How
kitchen,
fun.
the ability to stand in that space using virtual reality and AI. So we've done that, but we're also using some of the AI tools that the industry provides, such as Ciro and Rilla, to help our sales teams just get more effective at what they do in the home and allow our sales managers to be better effective in terms of their leadership and coaching. We're using Balto and Ring Central in our call centers to help our folks get better there. So we're constantly testing new technology, a new process, a new practice in an effort to find out which one is the best for the whole. The benefit of having 12 brands is there's probably been 12 unique ways that people have done
Mhm.
things throughout those 12 brands. That can be overwhelming, frankly, and it can almost feel like too daunting. But when you have 12 places as a testing
Mhm.
ground, it's really an opportunity for us to say, let's test multiple things in multiple places and see what would work the best for the whole. And you get really good collaboration and cooperation then amongst those brands trying to learn what each other is doing to be more effective. So that's part of the, if you want to call it the secret sauce or our culture, we really encourage that type of
Yeah.
collaboration amongst the
And
brands.
testing and executing becomes easier when you have, different data sets and you can try it out.
Yes,
Amazing.
yes.
Um, let's talk marketing, considering I'm a digital marketer and I work exclusively with remodeling contractors. How do you plan your marketing budget? Do you have certain channels that are tried and tested that you stick to no matter what, because you've played this game for so many years? How are you adapting to digital marketing and online lead generation today?
So I'm going to give you the a vague answer, but I will try to make it as detailed as
Okay.
possible. If you go back to prior to COVID, marketing was the most predictable I can ever recall it. The cost per lead or the cost per issued lead, whatever terminology you use, was pretty consistent, blended. Again, channel by channel. The web at one point was almost a free lead, where today, in some cases, it's almost your most expensive
Mm-hmm,
source,
mm-hmm.
depending upon how it is from it and what your mix is. So, we were all pretty consistent pre-COVID. During COVID, we all got hyper
Mm-hmm.
efficient. It didn't matter what your lead source was, it got more efficient. You just got more for what you
Right.
spent. And now we're in an environment where we all wanted to know what new normal was. And what new normal is not what it was prior to
True.
COVID. And I think everyone's trying to understand what does that really mean and what has to change. In my view, the biggest thing that's changed is really digital, and digital marketing has become the primary point where most people go and start their journey, whether they saw you in the web, they saw you in the paper, a billboard, the radio, the TV. That's where they go. So all sources drive web. And now you've got more lead aggregators, partnerships, more tools that have ever been available before in a marketplace that some would argue is seeing less demand than during COVID. Although the demand is still really high when you consider what pre-COVID was, it's not exactly what the COVID times were. So it's less efficient now than anyone would like it. So we are taking the approach of we recognize where the challenges are by channel. And when you have 288 locations, you have 288 data points to really pick from. And that times however many campaigns you're running, what your offers are, to really have a wide swath of testing going on all the time while you're still trying to generate leads for today.
Right.
So I think what you're going to see from not only us, but the industry as a whole is we're all going to get better at digital. The bigger players such as us probably have an advantage in terms of just resources and the amount of effort and dollars we're putting into it. But at the end of the day, everybody's going to have to figure out how to get better at digital or they're going to get left behind. So that's where we're putting our effort and focus right now, along with all the other channels that are available to ensure that we're doing everything we can to continue our growth.
Nice. Do you use text marketing today to promote your offers to your clients?
We do. We do through several different platforms. We're, again, more testing. And most of these platforms were in place for the businesses we purchased or even prior and what we were using just with Patio and Stanek some years ago. So there's lots of resources we're using and testing today to determine what's most effective.
And what about bots? Are you using bots for appointment setting, like AI bots, or you're still defaulting?
We have not done as much bots. I'll tell you, bots.
Answering the homeowner and then booking an appointment, or are you letting the homeowner engage with a bot to book an appointment?
We're not doing bots. We have put real live people on that because we just think the experience is better for the customer. It was amazing when we were doing chats in COVID early on with bots, we'd lose customers. As soon as we put a real human on it, people would actually ask if we were really human. And we would say, sure, my name's so-and-so. And so we learned early on that personalization, that people would use the technology and use the tools as long as they didn't feel like they were just talking to a machine.
Right. There's several kinds of contractors that listen to my podcast. And if there is a younger remodeler that's listening to the podcast and trying to make a decision about, what do I do with marketing? I'm at $2 million in revenue and I want to really get to those $5 million in revenue. What would be a few tidbits of advice that you would give that remodeler who's probably scaled it with referrals,
Yes.
but they want to really play with marketing right now?
There are a few fundamental things that you have to do in your business to be able to support investing in your growth. First of all, you don't need to be overly fancy. You don't need a BMW. You don't need a fancy truck. You don't need a big office that looks like a Taj Mahal. You don't need any of that. Your ultimate goal should be to keep your overhead and fixed expenses as low and as variable as possible so that you can ride the waves that the industry tends to throw at you. For someone who's never been through a recession before, we've really not had a recession since 2008, they don't know how to deal with that. So what I would say is keep yourself really humble. Don't get too full of yourself. Don't take too many distributions out of your business, and don't overspend on the things that aren't important, and keep yourself very flexible. If you do that, you're going to have lots of high quality choices in terms of how much money you can invest in your sales and marketing machine. You never pull back on your sales and marketing machine. That is where your dollars should go. So if you're trying to figure out how to go from 1 million to 5 million, no fancy offices, no fancy showrooms, you don't need any of that. You need to save as much of your profitability so that you can be reinvesting it into your business from a sales and marketing standpoint. So if someone wants to know how to go from 12 locations that we were back in 2018 to the 288 today, doing everything we've done, we've not invested in a lot of fixed overhead. We've not invested in a lot of infrastructure that's not necessary. We've not taken giant distributions out of the business. We've reinvested the profits to make the marketing flywheel go. That's how you build these types of enterprises.
Very cool. So, you got to keep your nose in the sales and marketing game and not have the fancy logo and trucks and to scale.
Not necessary.
Excellent advice. Today, reviews are a big part of any business. When somebody is choosing to open up their wallets to do business with any brand, they want, social proof. What did another homeowner think about this remodeler? Why should I choose you over the other choices that I have? Do you have a strategy in place to gather these reviews as you finish projects and build those raving fans, homeowners? Or does it just happen organically where people are pleased and then they just go write a review? Or do you, as a team, have a strategy where you say, okay, let's for each of these brands get to 50 reviews or 100 reviews? How do you play that?
There's really multiple strategies. I mean, if you've created such a great experience for the customer, many times they are asking where they can post a review. I wouldn't say that's not every opportunity or every job that we do, which is unfortunate because I think we're being surveyed to death. So I do think you need to create a really unique opportunity for the customer to want to give that review. And I think it needs to be very personal. So our strategy is if we've earned the right because the customer said they've had a great experience, we're going to ask them on a personal level through the installer, the salesperson, the design consultant, please go out and post a review because it helps us help other customers know where to go. It's all about trust. And if you've got really great positive reviews online and you've got a lot more of those than you do negatives, people are typically going to trust to at least give you the opportunity to welcome you into their home.
Right.
So our strategy is create a great experience so we earn the right to ask.
Yep.
If we've earned the right to ask, we don't find many customers that won't say yes. Right. So we also have some internal competition amongst the brands and even within the brands of how many reviews does a branch have versus jobs done. So we're constantly promoting that competitive spirit to see who can drive more positive reviews.
Very nice. Do you have any plans in place or a process in place to reach out to homeowners when the anniversary of a project completion hits? Like, you built the patio or you did a complete remodel. Do you have a plan in place to touch bases with the homeowner and say, hey, homeowner, thinking of you. It's your 1-year anniversary. How are things? Or there's not enough time in the day to be doing those kinds of activities?
Those types of activities are being done within the brand. So each one of the brands has a brand leader and somebody that leads their marketing efforts. Those types of activities are happening brand to brand. Sometimes they're sharing those across brands, but they're also changing it up. So I couldn't tell you specifically what every brand's doing every day, but I can tell you there's all kinds of unique opportunities for us to be touching our former customers and even potentially new customers to make sure that they recognize we're still here for them. And 2, we'd love for them to refer us to their friends, family, or to refer another brand to their friends and family. So we're constantly touching customers in that regard.
As the CEO of this many brands, do you have any tips or tricks to manage your time? Do you have like a morning routine or how you just get through your task list of things that you do? Because remodeling is such intense work. And when I speak to younger contractors that are just up and coming, it's juggling all of those tasks, right? Like customer service and
yeah.
What cool hacks can you share in terms of how you time manage or how you plan out your day? Anything you're willing to share about your skills?
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's changed a little over the years as the business has evolved and gotten bigger. But there's a few things that have not changed that I've been doing since day one. I have something that's called breakfast with the data. So it's me and my coffee every morning in front of the most important dashboards in the company so that within 20 to 30 minutes every morning, I have a really good understanding of where we are as a business at that moment in time based on how effective is the marketing, how are the sales, how's the performance of those sales, what's the install number. And then I'm not thinking about those items again until likely tomorrow. So I have a routine of things I look at every day, things I look at every week, things I look at every month, things I look at every quarter. and I keep that list in my computer, and it's habit now, but I've created the habit of here's what I feel like I need to know where I need to put my attention and support the business best. I then spend a lot of my time with my direct reports and my staff one-on-one throughout the week to connect with them on a personal level and professional level, find out where the business is from their perspective, what are we working on, how are our initiatives moving forward. Now, again, we have a fairly large team of people. If you're a 1 or 2 man show, that's a little harder for you to do. But I would really encourage anyone, you need to know where your business stands all the time. It changes day to day. This is a day-to-day type of industry. You need to have your dashboards and your data. Whatever truth is, truth over harmony, make sure you understand what it is so you know where to put your effort and time to grow your business and focus on where your biggest opportunities are. So that would be my advice. That's how I manage my day, my week. It gets derailed quite often, but I always have my coffee and my data.
Such a cool title.
Yeah.
You should write a book about it.
My wife says I should write a book too. I'm not sure I'm going to. We'll
We
see.
all have an author inside us and a book inside us. So you should write a book. You have such an interesting story. Do
Thank
you
you.
land up spending a bunch of time in the field in the customer homes, or it's not one of the hats that you wear? Do you garner your information from your leaders, or do you land up going and actually looking at installs and projects, and how do you wear that hat as the CEO?
You know, 5 years ago as a CEO, I did a lot more of that. It certainly is not the same today as it once was. You know, if I'm going to come to one of our locations, I should have a damn good reason for being there. Otherwise, it could just be a distraction. Um, one of the things I do every month is a 1 hour across the entire business live video of it's called Hanging with Hoy, and it's a lunchtime. We get several hundred employees every month that get on. I give a 10 to 15 minute update on what is happening around the company. I usually spotlight one of our brands and bring in a guest speaker or guest leader that maybe people don't know. And then it's 20 to 30 minutes of open question with me, anything anybody wants to ask. So it's completely unscripted. It's really about me connecting and driving culture. That's been the purpose of it. It's my favorite day of the month because I love the people. That's where, if I have a superpower, it's how I connect with our employees, with our customers, with our teams. And I just love it. So that's my ability to get into the field more is through those types of engagements. Although I do get to some of our plants and our offices. And when I do, I go there with a very specific purpose to make sure that it's not a disruptive thing to have the CEO in the building, which I recognize it can be at times. So I'm pretty deliberate with my visits to the field.
So anybody in the field is welcome to come to those monthly meetings and hang out with you and ask questions, no matter what level or title or they are within the organization.
Yeah, I do that. That's scheduled for the third Wednesday or second Wednesday of every month, so everybody knows when it is. The other thing I do is on my email signature, I have a link to book time with me in 30-minute intervals.
I saw that.
Anyone from anywhere can book 30-minute time frames with me. I have vendors do it. I've had customers do it. I've had employees do it. I use that as an opportunity to leave some time open for anybody who would like to bend my ear. And I typically find I learn something from every one of those conversations that either I didn't realize, maybe I misperceived, or that there's an opportunity I didn't even realize existed. So I love those intervals, and I usually have one a day. So I do devote the time to making sure that people can spend time with me and I get to spend time with
Yes, this
them.
is the digital version of having an open door policy. Oh, come on in, hang
It
out
is.
with me and chat with me. What's on your mind? Very cool. You
Yep.
mentioned plants. So do a lot of your brands produce a lot of the materials in-house, or do you source?
Yeah, we're producing probably 80% of what we sell in general. So we've got our window plant in the Cincinnati market that's producing for several brands. We've got our sunroom center of excellence and enclosure center of excellence in Northeast Ohio and Macedonia. We are not yet doing bath. It's certainly something we're going to evaluate. We've got the Angler aluminum and metal business over in New Jersey, and then down in the Florida market in Tampa. God pray for
Yes,
Florida right now,
yes,
given
yes.
the hurricane. But we do a lot of pull enclosures and sunroom down there, and we have a plant there as well. So we like making what we sell. One, it's one-stop accountability. The customer has no one to blame but us if something goes wrong. So we design it, we make it, we warrant it, we market it, we sell it, we install it. There's really no better message. There's only a few companies that do that nationally. So we're trying to find ways to leverage that scale even more as we grow.
Nice. When you look at your career, if there is a younger contractor listening to this podcast, what do you think makes a difference? Was it a book that you read? Did you have a cool mentor? What is it that can really give you an edge to grow as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, in your opinion?
That's hard to answer, but I'll give you I've had many mentors that I didn't know were mentoring me at the time. So as I've gotten older, and I'm not old, I think my maturity began to catch up, and I started realizing that people were taking a genuine interest in coaching me because I had something that they saw. Whether they told me what it was or not, they were giving me advice unknowingly. And I always loved the idea of winning. So, early on when I met my wife, she would ask what drove me. Why are you so driven? And I just used to say, I just want to win. When I'm asked that same question today, I still give the same answer. The difference is I understand that what winning now looks like. And it's changed over the years. So it used to be winning it was good for me and my family and my paycheck and my career. Now winning looks for me as, we're building something that's never been built before.
Right.
So that is winning to me. Today, winning is an opportunity to come onto this podcast and spend time with you. That's a win to me today. The ability to help develop our teams and our people, because now I've got maturity and experience, that is a win to me. So as I continue to develop in my own career, I'm still learning how to be a CEO of a company of this size. And learning how to be a good CEO at what we're going to look like in 3 or 5 years is probably very different than the way we look today. So I think this idea of being humble doesn't mean we're not driven, but finding ways that everybody wins. So if I win, I feel like everybody around me has to win, and that's what drives me to get better every day.
Very neat. So you find that one spark that drives you, and then you just kind of compounded it across your life, from self to employees to teams to companies, and just what a great story.
Yeah, interesting advice I was given years ago was, you'll hear a lot, focus on your weaknesses. One of my weaknesses is patience. I'm probably never going to fix that. I might get a little better at it, but I'm probably not going to fix it. So the advice I was given is take all your strengths and focus on how to make yourself even better at those, because it tends to bury everything that's a weakness. Doesn't mean you shouldn't focus on the weaknesses, but don't put all your effort there, because your ability to change those may just be inherent in who you are. Now, if you got to be a good human being, all of those things. If you're not a good human being, you better work on that first. Right. But I think if people would focus more on what are they really good at, and put more energy in just getting better incrementally there, that they find they have a lot more fun in their day, and they're a lot happier, and they can help other people win. So
excellent point. Let's switch gears and talk a little bit about your personal life. When you're not working and wearing all these hats and juggling these huge teams, what do you do for fun?
Well, not as much as I'd like to. So I've been married. It's coming up on 27 years. I have 2 daughters, one 25, who's getting married in 10 days. So I do have a bit of a hobby right now with a wedding and writing my father's speech and writing checks, if you will. I got my dance down. I've got my welcome thing in. Apparently there's sunglasses involved, I was told. So I got to look cool. My other daughter actually works for A Great Day. She's an FP&A. She lives in Daytona Beach. Again, pray for her. She's down there during this hurricane. Her and her guy, he's in flight school. So I'll tell you what I've really enjoyed is, one of my goals was that my adult children would, somebody would approach them and say, your dad made a difference in my life. And I love being around my adult kids. Yes. So that's a lot of fun for me. I'd say that's a hobby. My wife and I are now empty nesters. So we're learning how to reconnect, I'd say, in some ways. And we've been traveling a lot more. We have more of that on our to-do list. And other than that, we really just like being with people. So I'd say my hobby is friends and family. That's pretty much all I do. I do have a muscle car, which I like to play around with, but other than that, I'm not too much into other hobbies. I like to be with my friends and my family. Hope.
Well, congratulations on the upcoming wedding. I hope you have a blast and you make a ton of memories. It's always, as a mom, I adore time with my children, and I, just like you, I wish to have, a fun relationship with them as they become adults. So as a closing question, where do you think the remodeling industry is going? We had that surge in remodeling during 2020, during the pandemic, when everybody was just home and looking around and saying, hey, maybe I could improve this, I could change that. And then it's kind of been bumpy, but where do you think what are you predicting for 2025 and beyond for the next 5 years?
We're really bullish, and we're kind of eternal optimists as entrepreneurs are. We take every problem as an opportunity. But if you just look at the macro environment, I mean, you have 50% of the people in the country today that have a single family home own it outright. So are you really going to refinance it at the higher interest rates that we've seen the last couple of years? The answer is probably not, even if you can afford to, because there's been a lot of uncertainty about the marketplace and is there going to be a recession? I think we've been talking recession now for 3 years, so that's not overly helpful. The people that do have mortgages tend to have rates that are extremely low, and they're not going to trade up in terms of the cost unless they absolutely have to. We're starting to come out of that. We're also in an age where a lot of the homes that were built during the boom of, call it 1999 to 2006 or 7, are at their prime remodeling age. So those homes need to be remodeled. If you read the Zonda report or anything from even John Burns, everyone's predicting a pretty robust, if you want to call it, we're in a recession, I don't know, but a recovery. The remodeling market is like a beach ball being held underwater right now, and it's going to pop through. So we're super optimistic. We've continued to spend on marketing aggressively to ensure we're in a good position when things, quote, recover. But we're really bullish about what the future looks like. We think that this is a great space to be in, and we plan, as I said earlier, we feel like we're just getting started.
Incredible. Cool. Very cool. Yep. I think there is a upswing ahead of us in the remodeling industry. And if you study the pandemic that happened in the 1900s, it took 5 years to snap out of it. So we're coming up on that 5-year mark. And then, hopefully the upswing is going to happen. So excited to see what's in store for the remodeling industry. So thank you again. I really appreciate your time. It was a delight to hang out.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Anytime. We've kind of stayed under the radar for a period of time, but I'm learning that these opportunities are, I think, really important. And we want to be a help to the industry, not a hindrance. So anytime we can do that, we'd like to do that.
I do have contractors who are camera shy and podcast shy, but they have amazing stories. If you were to help me convince a contractor why they should be on this podcast, what would you tell them? What was the cadence of the questioning? Did you enjoy chatting over here?
I love people. I'm not very shy. What I would say is anytime you have a chance to have an audience, all that can come from it is opportunity. Yes. So if someone is thinking about looking for a new career, Great Day might be a place that they would consider today that they hadn't considered before. Or if someone is considering, their next season and an exit of their company in the future, and they're still wondering what Great Day is all about, they may have learned something today. So if you're anyone that could use just a little airtime, you never know what's going to come from it. All it takes is one person to reach out and create a new relationship. And to me, that would be a win.
Excellent point. Thank you so much. Thank you again, Michael. It was a pleasure.
Yep. Take care. Thank you. Good luck.
If you would like to generate more leads through your digital marketing efforts, please visit remodelerdigital.com and check the workshop section for video training and guides on everything from running effective pay-per-click ads and how to have your website be best friends with the Google algorithm. Also sign up for a 15-minute discovery call with me to run an online snapshot report of your remodeling business. This has been another successful episode of the Remodeler Digital Playbook. Thanks for listening.